Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NAZIHAH. Today I'm going to present my research methodology individual assignment, which is a research proposal. So for my research proposal, the title is Students and Staff Perception on Sick Building Syndrome in PITA Library. As for introduction, buildings' health problems have become more significant as people spend much of their time in building. Some of their biggest issues is whether or not the building is in good condition. People are regularly exposed to mold or spores without damage to their health, but in certain cases for an asthma patient, the mold and spores will trigger their allergic reaction. SBS also must be distinguished from other well-defined building-related illness that are triggered by particular exposures in indoor environment and can be explicitly diagnosed, at least in principle. So, for my research problem statement is, building occupants often mistaken that their symptoms are caused by common flu or a kind of allergies without realizing that the building condition that triggers their allergies. If the building are not properly maintained by the owner, the occupant will continue to suffer with the same symptom. This sick building syndrome has raised concern from many parties as it can affect the occupant's productivity, and this type of building can be very dangerous place for the person with acute allergic reaction. It might be fatal for them. So, I have developed 3 research questions in order to spark ideas during my research making process. The first question is, what is sick building syndrome? The second question is, what are the symptoms of occupant who infected with this sick building syndrome? And the last question is, how it would affect the occupant's productivity. I have set up 3 different objectives for my research. The first objective is to investigate the sick building syndrome. The second objective is to identify the causes of sick building syndrome problems. And the last objective is to investigate how it affects the occupant's declining health performance. For the significance of study, this study finding will give a lot of benefit to all the parties that use the building to do their daily activities. This research is conducted in hope that it will be able to improvise the building performance. It is also help to raise awareness and educate the people about sick building syndrome and how it will affect the occupants. With this improvisation, the author hope that the building occupants can spend a lot of time in the building without having headache or sore throat. So I have set up some scope and limitation for my study. This research will focus on to provide information of sick building syndrome in Tun Abdul Razak Library or PITA that is owned by University Technology Mara all around Malaysia. The durations to conduct research is 1 year. The specific aspect that will be highlighted in this report is the symptom of sick building syndrome, and the building owner can evaluate if there are any emerging issues related to sick building syndrome. This research will be limited to UiTM student and library staff only. So, for my literature review, building sickness is recognized by the World Health Organization as a syndrome of complaints involving non-specific feelings of lethargy that are associated with the occupancy of some modern buildings, while a syndrome is characterized as a series of signs and symptoms that match a recognizable pattern. The next point is, according to Cooley et al. 1998, early research suggested that many of the recorded high levels of established respiratory irritants such as nitrogen and sulfur dioxide and confirmed suspected carcinogens such as asbestos, radon, and formaldehyde or chemical released from new building material. The same author also suggest some remedial works that were carried out at the selected case studies that show sick building syndrome in their report. The list of remedial as follow. Any building materials exhibiting physical decay is removed and replaced. The HVAC filter is replaced regularly. So, for my research methodology, I have decided that I will conduct this survey in all UiTM branch in Malaysia. The methodology of this study involving 1,000 students with various education background. The range age of the respondent is from 18 to 55 years old. The education of respondent is from diploma until PhD. In this study, I also will use online form with multiple choice question to investigate the students and staff perception of sick building syndrome in PITA library. The data that will be collected will be transferred into graph and table. The data will be automatically calculated by the Google form. I also will gather information from secondary and primary sources such as from online and article, journal, and thesis.